It's nice to see you today because I think you were one of my first interviews for trying series 1 in lockdown last year. So I feel like we've gone full circle today.
Well, we made it. We made it.
I'm going to begin with you, Esther. I mean, you said last time when I interviewed you both that when you got the scripts, you remember just sort of sitting there in a coffee shop reading them and just laughing. I was wondering this time round, is it quite different how you kind of approach a script? Not looking at it as though, is this a project I want to do? Instead thinking, where are they going to take these characters? I guess it's a completely different experience.
Yeah, absolutely, because you're informed by the experience of living a whole series with that character and these people. So your investment's deeper, and you know what that character might do or what that character might not do. So in terms of storyline, you're then looking for things, being like, oh, is that believable for that character or not? And that's always such a lovely thing to have, knowing that you've kind of that you are looking at it in a different way, because there's something more embedded, and it's nice to be able to grow with that character as series go on, and hopefully there's more of that, and then and then you grow with that person, if that makes sense, and that's always a joy. Rather than just leaving it and putting that to bed. And
because Rafe, I was going to say, one thing I love about this is the kind of candid authenticity of it. I love the conversations between you both on screen, kind of back home in the privacy of your own living room. We all have those chats with our other halves, but we so rarely see them kind of on screen. It's unique, isn't it, this show in that regard?
I hope it is, and I'm really pleased that you picked that out, because I think that's one of the things that makes this show identifiable. That we see ourselves in these characters, in that sort of, we all know what it's like to get back and after going out and sort of talk about your friends and your family. That's the stuff that life's made of. That's where we spend most of our time. That's the real stuff that in a relationship that makes it really lovely. And so it's a real joy to paint a picture of a flawed, fallible couple who are trying to do the right thing. And I think that is eminently identifiable.
Yes, I was going to ask, I'm going to be sort of honest. I mean, I felt, like in the past, but with conversations with my wife, that I wondered if I might struggle to adopt myself. And I sort of maybe naively felt, could I have that kind of same connection with a child that wasn't biologically mine? But watching this and seeing your characters' kind of faces light up during the kind of process, it sort of changed my perspective in some ways. I was wondering if making this series has changed you at all, and how you kind of perceive certain things.
And do you mean specifically for adoption, or just things in life in general?
Things in life, not specifically adoption, because I think this kind of takes such a kind of candid view on so many different kind of real things.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's it's nice to relate to these characters in that they're in their 30s, and being in my mid 30s as well. That kind of, everything that comes with that weird pressure of being in your 30s, and it's essentially just, I think it's just such a strange place to be in, and there's all this kind of weird social pressures of things, but then at the same time you come into your own as a person, I think, as a human being. And I think doing this show has just kind of allowed me to be okay with that, and at peace with it's okay not to have everything figured out and sorted out just yet. Still freak out about it, sure, but it's okay. You can breathe. You're not the only person who hasn't got it all figured out, whatever being figured out means. So that, I guess, that's something that I've taken away from it.
And Rafe, I was going to ask you, because obviously the first time I interviewed you guys, I think it was about the day or two after the Queen did her speech to the nation, so it was very much in the thick of lockdown. But you've obviously shot this whole second season under the kind of new guidelines. How was that? How was it adapting to the new way of working?
Yeah, that's the word. It's adaptation. You get used to things. We are quite malleable as humans, and there were a few things that were challenging and difficult, but really we just felt lucky to be back, because we knew we'd been commissioned for a second series, you know, when we were promoting the show last time, but there was that feeling of goodness, like when are we going to get to do this? So even though it was different, strange at points, challenging, it was just lovely to be back, and we're just so grateful that we got to make this show, which is so important to us. We really love it and care about it. So it was just, even with the challenges, the restrictions, the guidance and guidelines, it was just lovely to be back at it, doing what we love.
So my final question, Esther, I was going to ask you was, I was speaking to these actresses recently from a big Netflix show, which was #1 on Netflix earlier this year. And they were saying that it's been really surreal to be part of a kind of big show that they know is being watched out there, but they weren't kind of feeling it in a sense that usually you'd walk down Soho and someone would sort of shout your name or kind of come up to you and ask for an autograph. So they kind of knew it was kind of happening. It was being talked about, but out there somewhere. Obviously, Trying came out in series 1, came out in lockdown, and season 2 is going to kind of come out when life is still not quite normal. Does it feel quite surreal in some regards to kind of be part of something that you know is out there in the public domain, it's being talked about, but it must feel like a strange disconnect in some ways?
Yeah, I think it does in a weird way, because I think also because the platform it's on, and also how much love and energy and, you know, time that you put into this thing, for it to come out in the way that it had come out in series 1 did feel like a weird disconnect. But in a weird way, there's also something quite nice about that, because it's out there and people are watching it and people have watched it, and that's just your job, is to go to work, make a show, it comes out, and then, oh, okay, well that's it, it's done, it's out there now. So it's not been so much as, you know, it's quite nice to walk around the streets and not kind of, you know, feel like you've got a spotlight on you necessarily. Not that people would anyway, but yeah, that's something quite nice about that. It feels like it's doing the things it was supposed to do, which is get out, be a source of relief, escapism for people, a bit of, you know, a light in a really weird time, and people are watching it, and that's, you know, that's lovely. Yeah.
Well, hopefully by the time season 3 comes out, we'll be able to do something like this in person. Who knows? But thank you so much.
I mean, that'd be lovely. Yeah, that'd be, yeah.
Well,
I missed that.
This is a step up from last year where we were in our own homes. At least now we're on separate sofas in the same room. So we're getting there.
Slowly. All right, take care, guys.
Bye, Stefan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.